Hey everyone, it's Carrie from Carrie's Wreath Creations. Happy Monday. Hope everyone is well. Hope that you had a nice Easter if you celebrated, and maybe you are on spring break, and if that's the case, I hope you are enjoying your spring break. I'm going to give people a few seconds to join us. I am a little bit later than what I said, but have some stuff prepped and ready to go to make our little project here go a little faster. So I'm just going to pull us up here on my computer so I can see comments, and then we're going to get started. So we're now that we're past Easter, I am looking forward to Patriotic for sure. I tend to sell a lot of Patriotic, and being a military spouse, it's something that's near and dear to my heart. And honestly, I'm kind of getting a little tired of pastels, so I'm ready for some red, white, and blue. Hello. Thank you for joining me. I can see comments. Thank you for joining me. Feel free to say hi and tell us where you are watching from. So yeah, we are going to be working on a patriotic flower today. We're going to be using this really pretty red, white, and blue plaid poly burlap. And we are going to also be using plain red and royal blue as well. Thank you for joining, everybody. Hey, Brandon. Hello, everyone. So we are going to be working on a small Unique in the Creek board. Okay, so I actually started the wreath already, but I wanted to show the board. And in case you were interested in the plaid mesh, I know they have it at least last time I looked, they had it at Unique in the Creek, as well as the board is from Unique in the Creek. You can get lots of other supplies there as well. I do have an affiliate link that is pinned on my main Facebook page. So if you go to the pinned post, which is the very first post that you see on the page, you'll see a link to Unique in the Creek with there's a discount code on there. And if you're interested in this mesh, I know they had it. It's just, it's item number RP8136E7, and it just says color is red, white, and blue. And it's a 10-yard roll, okay? So I have a lot of stuff prepped and ready to go. So let's talk about what we're going to do today. So we are going to be doing kind of a two-toned cone petal. So I have done this project before, not with the same mesh, but I did do a patriotic cone petal. And I did that on the Unique in the Creek page when I was a guest wreath maker. This was, oh gosh, when was it? Maybe like a month ago or so, maybe a little longer. But I didn't actually get to keep that video since that was on their page. And I wanted to go ahead and do another project with that two-toned cone petal so that I could have it for my own page and be able to upload it to my YouTube and all that good stuff. So we are going to be working with 10 by 10 pieces of poly burlap. I do cut my poly burlap with a wood burning tool. I do that out in the garage just so I'm in a nice well-ventilated place. I do still use a mask as well, and I use a wood burning tool. With your wood burning tool, you will also want to make sure you are cutting on something that you can't burn through. So for example, I have a cutting mat like this one outside on a workbench, and then I have a piece of, it's a glass cutting board, and I cut on the glass so that way I don't burn through my mat. So I have the 10 by 10 pieces already cut, but actually for this particular petal, we're going to be cutting them in half. So let me first tell you about what this is gonna, or how we would load the board, what this is gonna look like. So on our small Unique in the Creek board, we are going to be using every set of holes and every set of shared holes on row 2, 3, and 4. So when you look at the Unique in the Creek board, it's labeled row 1. We're not doing anything on row 1, row 2, 3, and then the inside is row 4. So we are, when you load the board, and I'll show you when I'm going to show you I already have one that's where I've done most of row 2 already. But basically, when you put your zip ties in, you're going to go into the shared holes, and then you're going to put a zip tie between. On row 2, you have this one hole that's kind of on its own. So you're going to have zip ties in the pair holes, and then the shared ones as well. So on row 2, it's a total of 24 petals. On row 3, same thing, except you don't have the hole that's kind of on its own. You just have the pairs, but you'll put zip ties between the pairs and between kind of the shared holes. So that's a total of 16. And then on row 4, very similar to row 3, you'll do a total of 8. So I'll show you the back when I get the one that's half done, and I'll show you so you can see where all the zip ties go. Because I know that was just a verbal explanation, maybe not so helpful, but it's a total of 48 petals that we will be doing. I cannot believe it is snowing in some parts of the country today. It was not very nice here, I'll tell you that. We had a nice weekend, and then it got cold last night and started kind of blowing, raining, not very nice. And today I don't think it got above 50. The sun is out now, but it's the first time all day that the sun's been out. So we're going to, on row 2, which is the first row we're going to be putting in the board, we're going to be doing this two-toned cone petal, which has the royal blue and the plaid. So the plaid is kind of like a little accent on the inside of the petal. Now, if you haven't seen the cone petal before, I'm going to just kind of show you just to show you kind of where the basis of this petal comes from. So you have your 10 by 10 poly burlap. Okay, curl side up. This is a scrap piece. It's very curly. So you always want to pay attention to where your factory edges are and your cut edges. So for a standard cone petal, what you're going to want to do is take your 10 by 10, turn it into a diamond shape, bring one corner up to meet the other corner. Now I like to clip my the top here, because when we do our petal, we want that top to be lined up nice and evenly. This piece, this was a scrap piece, so this petal's not going to come out too pretty, but it's just for demonstration. We're not actually going to use it. So then what you're doing is from that tip, you want to find the middle, okay? And it's just a kind of a guide with your finger. You take one of the ends of your triangle here, fold it in towards the center, okay? And just kind of hold it there with your finger. Do the same on the other side, like this. So you have kind of what looks like almost like an open envelope, okay? And then what you're going to do next, and you can either turn it this way or keep it straight, whatever, it doesn't really matter. You're just going to take this and fold it in one more time. And same over here, okay? And you're just kind of meeting them right there at the center. And then you scrunch this whole part here, okay? And that gives you your cone petal. Oops, wrong way. Okay, so that's where the idea for this petal came from. I did some playing around, again, back when I was on the Unique in the Creek page as a guest wreath maker, because I wanted to do something where I could get 2 colors out of this. And so this is how I came up with the kind of two-toned cone petal. So how does that work? So it's going to end up looking like this. I'm going to put these here for now because I am going to load those in the board. So I have my, I took my 10 by 10s and I just cut them in half with a wood burning tool. Okay. So, again, if you have, you take your 10 by 10 and I just have, this long, I think it's for quilting. I don't even know where this is from exactly, but Hobby Lobby or something, you can find these. It's a Fisker's brand. And then I just do this and I take my rotary cutter and I cut. Now, if you're really picky about fray, then you can wood burn the diagonal cut, but it's not really necessary because that's what ends up down here, which goes into your zip tie. So it's not really necessary. Wood burning, I think, is, kind of a lengthy process. Takes time, and time is money. And so if you don't need to wood burn because that fray is going to get hidden, then don't bother. Okay. So how do we make this? All right. So we have our 2 halves of our 10 by 10. Here's where I cut with my rotary cutter. Okay. And I have my factory edge. This is where I, the wood burned side of it. Okay. And so what I'm doing, I'm using my cutting mat to help guide me here. So I'm just going to put this point, it's on the 13. I know you can't see that, but just all you want to do then when you take your second piece, this is going to be the one that's going to kind of lie on the inside. You just want to go down 1 inch. Okay, so that's at the 12 on my mat. So it's a 1 inch difference between these 2 points. Okay, now I should have grabbed a longer clip. This barely reaches, but I am going to clip that just to hold that in place. Okay, make sure that's lined up the way I want to. And then the folding method is essentially the same. So I do fold my pieces kind of one at a time here because they aren't lined up at the bottom because you've offset this one here. But what you're gonna do, I start with the one that's on the top, yep. And I take, and I same thing, find the center, fold that in towards the center. And you can again, you can fold both pieces at the same time. For me, I just kind of like to do them separately here because I want to make sure they're lined up the way I want. So then I take my blue, which is in the back here, use all my fingers to hold everything in place. Okay, so I do this. So exact same fold as the original cone petal. I just have two different pieces going on here. Okay, and then again, the same idea where I'm going to take this and fold it in once towards the center, and same thing here. Okay, now what you want to make sure you're doing when you scrunch here. Okay, so you got it about it should be about an inch. It's maybe a little bit more, but an inch extra of this one that's kind of on the inside here. So don't scrunch here because then you won't have grabbed any of this. You need to grab farther up here. So I just kind of go about, inch, I don't know, that's like up about a fingertip or up to my first knuckle is where I'm grabbing it, just to make sure I'm grabbing some of that blue. Okay, and there's my petal. Now, when you put this in the board, this is too much extra to, it'll interfere with the holes in the later layers. So you want to cut this off. So I'm just going to cut this extra. So I'm turning to the side because that's where my garbage can is. And I'm trying not to make a mess. So I just cut that off. Okay, I'm kind of holding this like I would if I were a lefty. I guess this is how I would hold a pencil or a pen in my left hand. Not with the best penmanship, but I'm holding it. And then I'm just going to rubber band these because I'm going to make a couple and then we'll load them into the board. Okay, so there is my petal. You can kind of spread this out or roll this in a little, however you need to do to make it look the way you want to. Okay. Let me know if y'all have any questions. I haven't seen anything pop up on the chat yet. But if anything comes up as we go along, let me know. So again, taking my halves of 10 by 10, cut them in half with the rotary cutter diagonally, and then a 1 inch difference between the 2 points. Okay, just like this. And then I'm folding my plaid in towards the center, and then folding my blue in towards the center, and then give this a fold towards the center, same here. Okay, and then again I'm just going up to about my first knuckle is where I'm grabbing this. So you scrunch that all. Okay, cut off the extra. This is poly burlap. I have not done this, I haven't done this petal with any other type of mesh, although I do think it would probably look fine. It would probably work well with fabric mesh. I think deco mesh would probably be pretty. You just have to be careful as far as like the thickness, because sometimes you can see through deco mesh. So I don't know. I would probably try that out before I would make a whole bunch of petals with it. Just because over here, I mean, this is only one layer where you have, just this blue here. So if that were a really sheer deco mesh, I'm not sure, it probably wouldn't see the board through, but I don't know. You got to try that out. But I'm sure fabric mesh would also work. Okay, so I got 2 more of these to make, and then we'll put these in the board. So again, just a 1 inch offset of the points of your triangles here. I do like, so the reason I decided to do this particular method, oh, I didn't clip this. That's why I'm having a hard time holding this. So the reason I chose to do this method on this wreath, I only bought 1 roll of this plaid. Sometimes, there's certain colors I buy tons at a time, and then sometimes the more special stuff, I don't buy as many rolls all at once because I don't know. I just don't always do that. So I only had 1 roll, and I wanted to figure out, like, what can I do to make, to do something different with this plaid and still have it stand out and get all my patriotic colors in, do something fun with the petals. But you know, only having one roll, there's certain, you know, certain techniques you can't get away with only one roll of mesh. Like I said, this is going to be a total of 48 petals. So when you cut your 10 by 10 poly burlap, you should ideally, in a perfect world, get 36 pieces because it's a 10-yard roll. So 36 pieces would not be enough to do an entire wreath with just cone petals with this plaid mesh. So I needed to mix it with something else, but I kind of didn't want to just do like the sunflower technique with the Dean Michael daisy petals. I wanted to do something else, something special. I'm really liking the cone petals in the way that you can kind of accent a different color in the center of them, the way I'm doing with this plaid. And I will tell you, before I'm done with the blue and plaid, before I go on, I did want to point something out in case you decide you want to do this on your own. So if you look at this mesh, you see how the top is red and white, blue, red, white, blue. Okay, so because I'm a little bit neurotic about I like things to be in patterns. I like things to be organized. When I cut these pieces, I had the red on the top and I turned it like this and I cut them all like that. With the way the cuts turned out, I took like this half of it with the red, went in the blue petals, and then the bottom part that had more of the blue went in the red petals. That might be a little bit hard to understand, but basically this is what went in the middle of the red petals, and I used it all up. But your halves don't look the same, if that makes sense, because you have one half that's like this, that has red and then your colors, and then this part has blue. And the thing is, I didn't want to put this with a lot of the blue didn't look as good inside the blue cone, if that makes sense. But there was a method to the madness of why I cut this and why I put, you know, the more blue accented pieces in the red petals. That was today's, Carrie's going crazy with her wreath making and can't just make something easy and has to always make it hard. So here's what I have done so far. We have a bunch of the blue already done, and I told you I'd show you the back. So here's my hanger. I always use fish line. So as you can see in row 2, it's every set of holes, every set of shared holes. So that's 24. And then row 3 is every pair of holes, every set of shared holes. So that's 16. And then this is the 4 pairs of holes and then the shared holes. So 8. So 24, 16, 8. Okay. So let's get these in here. And then this is going to go pretty quick. I don't want these to fall off my table, but I need some more space here because I have a lot of the rest of them done. So, all right. So my zip ties are loaded. I do use 6-inch zip ties. For any of the tools that you see me use, obviously there's the materials. That's a different story. But the tools that I use, like my zip ties, my cutting mat, scissors. I'm going to use a zip tie gun here in a second that tightens and clips at the same time. All that stuff you can find in my Amazon affiliate shop. And so I just want to preface that I do get a small commission if you shop with my affiliate links. But basically, if you go to the pinned post on my Facebook page, you'll see a link to my Amazon affiliate shop. So all the supplies I use are in there. I make like, I don't know, 5 cents when I sell something. It's like, I think I'm up to a whole $1 right now. I don't really make any money doing that. But it's just the way when people ask, like, where do I find this? I can direct you to that. And so, and then you can find exactly what I'm using, just all right there in one place. So, and then the other links that you see in the pinned post would be to the Unique in the Creek page, where I get the boards. I get a lot of my mesh from there. A lot of other great wreath making supplies, signs, decals, all kinds of stuff. So that's all in the Unique in the Creek affiliate link. And then I do have another shop. It's called Mel's Crafty Mojo, and I have an affiliate for them as well. I find that sometimes they have stuff when everybody else is out of stuff. So good place to check if your mesh is out. The mesh you want is sold out everywhere else. So again, this is the zip tie gun. So sometimes you need to squeeze the trigger twice. I did learn that. And you want to make sure your zip tie is going right in this little slot. Because so sometimes the reason you would have to pull the trigger twice, like I'm going to have to do it on this one, because it tightens and it clips, but if it's not tight enough, it will first tighten it as far as it can tighten, and then it will clip it. So you do sometimes have to trigger twice. This is already my second wreath with zip ties today. So my fingers are feeling a little bit weak. My pads of my fingers are getting a little sore. For some reason, I'm just not a needle nose plier person. I know that would help me be able to pull them tighter manually, or at least with a, some kind of a easy to use tool, but I just don't use it. I don't know. It's just not me. So the zip tie gun works well, but I am seeing that some of these, they need to be pulled a little tighter. Okay, and I apologize if I'm a little off camera here. I'm just trying not to knock all my petals off the table. Okay. All right, so let's actually I need to make 2 red ones. Let's go ahead and just load the ones that I have done though, so that way they don't fly off my table here, and then we'll just move the wreath out of the way and get those petals done. So that way if someone's joining late, you can catch me make the petal again. So the red with the plaid is going to go next. And this is in row 3. And there are a total of 16 zip ties in this row 3 because I used every pair of holes and every set of holes in between the pairs. Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. So I hope everyone is, I don't know if anyone a teacher that's on spring break. Never heard so much talk about spring break until this year. I don't know why, if everyone was just feeling like they really needed it, if Easter was later than usual this year and that made spring break later for some people. I used to be a teacher and spring break meant something to me, but now I'm not a teacher anymore and spring break means nothing. So yeah, the center I'm going to be using, I made a burlap rosettes out of this royal blue burlap. So we're going to use that, I think. That's the only one I have prepped, so that's the one I'm planning to use. If it ends up not looking good, then I will figure something else out, probably not on camera. But I kind of had planned that out ahead of time that I wanted to use that. And the burlap rosettes, I do have a YouTube video on how to make those. So I don't do those when I do my lives because it is a bit of a process. Takes, I don't know. I hate to put a time frame on things like that because some people are really great at them and can whip them out pretty quick, and then other people are a little bit slower, but it is, a little bit of a lengthy process that I prefer not to have everyone sit here while I pull strands of burlap and makes kind of a mess of threads all over my table that I have to then clean off, and there's hot gluing involved and all that stuff. They're not hard to make. It's just, it's a little bit of a process. So I prepped that one before I went live because I'll use it for this, or if I decide I don't like it for this, I'll use it for something else. I missed it, I think, but this is not a kit. I'm not offering this as a kit. If you are interested in the plaid poly burlap, I know I did, at least as of last night. I didn't look today. Last night I was looking at the Unique in the Creek page. She did have this plaid, red, white, and blue patriotic plaid listed. I would imagine it's still available. You can, of course, check your other craft suppliers. Places I usually look would be Craft Outlet, occasionally the Wreath Shop, or Trendy Tree, Deco Exchange. I shop from Craft Outlet and Unique in the Creek most. And then, of course, Mel's Crafty Mojo. That's on one of my affiliate links as well. Okay, so I need to make 2 more. I'm going to move this off to the side. We'll cut off all the zip ties in a second here. Okay, so here is my red is very curly, but okay. So exactly the same way we did the blue ones. So you're taking the point of your petal or of your triangle here, and then the one that's going to go on the inside just goes 1 inch lower than that other point. I'm going to go ahead and just clip those. So that if you want to order the zip tie gun, basically what you would want to do is just go to, if you want to find it easily, you can go to my affiliate link, which I should have it memorized, but I don't. So it's in the pinned post on my Facebook page. So if you go to the very first post, it has like a little yellow bookmark type of thing. And so you would want to click on that, and it'll take you to my little shop that has all of my stuff listed that I use. And it's, I don't even know what I guess some sort of percentage of, based on like what the category is. I want to say it's like, I don't know, 4% or something. It's like not very much, but that would be how you could go order that if you wanted to give me the little bit of commission. Okay, now I know I made that and didn't explain it, so. All right, so you take whatever color is going to be on the outside. In this case, it's going to be in the red, the red one. And then, so you're just kind of, I'm using my cutting mat as a guide here. And so I have my point, and on my mat, it's lined up at 13. And then I'm going to go ahead and line this one up 1 inch below. So that would be at the 12. I'm going to go ahead and clip those. Okay. And then I fold separately. You can fold them together if you want, but I fold them separately. So I take my one that's on the top here, which is the plaid, fold that until the end here reaches the center. Oh, the same thing on the other side. Just hold that in place with my finger. Do the same thing with the red. Okay, just like that. So you have kind of an open envelope looking thing here. Okay. And then fold this in towards the center. Okay, and the same thing on the other side. Okay, they're just meeting at the center. You're not really overlapping. Okay, and then you don't want to grab down here because you need to make sure you're grabbing some of the red when you scrunch your petal together. So just about like a finger, or like up to my first knuckle kind of is where I'm going to go ahead and just grab it, just so they all end up the same size. And then I am cutting this extra off here, because I do not want to, that's too much extra mesh that'll interfere with the holes on the next row. So you do need to get rid of them. Oops, I just broke that rubber band. I don't really need it because it's going right in the board, but just so I don't have to hold it and grab my wreath at the same time. The rubber bands are just, you can just get those at Dollar Tree if you wanted, or Dollar Store, really. They're just little hair band things. I do like using those because I can make petals ahead of time, especially like now if I'm going to be, doing a live, I can prep a bunch of petals and then put them in the board, and saves a little bit of time rather than having to, make a whole bunch of petals on a live, or having like a bazillion clips trying to hold everything together. I used to try to clip a bunch of petals, and I bought all kinds of clips, and then I'm like, this actually just almost takes up more room than it should because I have all these clips hanging around now too. Okay, so, all right, we got all of our that's row 3 on the small board here. And now I'm going to use my zip tie gun to, again, if I have to trigger twice, it's because it's tightening first. And then once it's tight enough, it will clip. This really is a great tool. I used to just use my wire cutters, which work just fine, but this is kind of a handy little thing. And for some reason, there's something really satisfying about the pulling the trigger and the little snapping noise. I don't know, there's just something about it. Okay, so everyone, gearing up for, I don't know, I know I have a lot of crafters that watch me, so are we seeing a lot of, you know, vendor events and craft shows starting up in your area. I know I just did my first one of the spring this past Saturday. It was a very small event. It was at a brewery tap house that I go to fairly regularly. But I know I have a friend that works there, and I've been there enough where I know, you know, the employees and met the owners a few times. And so they just had a small event that I did on Saturday, and it was a nice way to kind of warm up to getting back into the vendor event season. I have a big show on April 30th. Is that a Saturday? That's when I have a really big one. It's my biggest one that I do all year. So my whole inventory will be going to that show. All right. So I don't know if anyone's I can't tell if anyone's not talking to me or if my comments have frozen. I'm not really sure. But yeah, let me know if you're going to any vendor events and if you have any questions. I know a lot of people, they saw my pictures from this weekend, and I had a lot of questions about all kinds of stuff. So if you have any questions, I'm certainly no expert, but happy to help you out if you're going to your first show or considering going to a show. Okay, so the inner row of petals on row 4 is going to be all plaid, okay? And I just wanted to do that because this is not going to get covered by another row, so it's going to help the plaid really stand out. And I also I was going to do a row of white with the plaid on the inside, and I didn't like it. So yeah, I just decided to do all plaid. Now, I have all of them made except for one. Now you might be wondering, because I showed you just a regular cone petal. Why do I have 2 pieces when I could just make, this is not offset, this is a double layer here, but they're just exactly lined up as opposed to these being offset. So you could totally take just a regular piece of poly burlap that you have not cut, like the one I showed you at the beginning, and make this exact petal. The only reason I'm using 2 halves instead of a whole piece, because it would come out, it's going to come out and look exactly the same. Because I told you about my little neurotic episode with the way I cut it, with the blue being on the bottom and the red being on the top, and I wanted the blue inside the red. If you were here earlier, I explained the whole thing. It sounds really crazy, but I ended up with a bunch of extra halves, and so I decided to not waste them, and so I'm just layering them instead of using one full piece. So, yeah, if you're looking for show schedules in your area, definitely check Facebook, even just putting in like your town name or your county or nearest city, and then like craft fairs, vendor events, like some kind of title like that. That's how I found a couple that I could participate in. So I see some questions and I am happy to answer them. I'm just layering one exactly on top of the other, like exactly. It's not getting offset or anything. I'm just going to clip it to keep it in place, and then I'm folding it the same way. I'm just not going to cut any off at the bottom because I won't have any, it's not offset, so there's not going to be any extra to cut off. So I'm just going to do my petal just like this. So when I do my vendor events, I purchased a like really good industrial strength, I don't know if that doesn't sound right, but industrial type pop-up tent. I just got it at Lowe's, and I bought the good one, like the heavy duty one, because I knew I was going to be hanging stuff off of it. So I didn't go with like your flimsy one that you take to like tailgating or I don't know, whatever you use a pop-up tent for. I bought the heavier duty one because I knew I was going to hang stuff off of it. So I know you can get fairly decent ones from Amazon as well. I didn't at the time purchase the side walls, but I ended up getting them separately because I was worried about, I know one of the dogs inevitably always walks by when I'm working. This is their hangout couch in front of me though, so can't blame them. But anyways, I bought the side walls. It already came with the back wall. Well, I guess you could use it for any side you wanted to. I had one wall. I bought 2 more walls just in case of rain or in case there's I don't know, something cuckoo crazy next to me at a vendor event and I want to block them out. So I did that. And I just use wire closet shelving that I bought at Lowe's. So you go to like the closet storage section and it's literally exactly what's hanging in my closet. I just bought the, I think I have both 6 foot and 6 and 8 foot long shelves. And if you look, I'll make sure I take pictures at the next one as well, because this last vendor event, I didn't use my tent because I just leaned my stuff up against, it was a 3-hour event, okay? I was not going to get all like, you know, setting up the tent, hanging stuff up. It was not really like it was a vendor event, but there was only 3 of us. It was a very small little intimate vendor event. And yes, I still made money, so it was definitely worth it. But I did not do the whole shebang setup with like hanging all my racks and all that stuff. So yeah, I just use closet shelving. There are some people that will tell you like, oh my gosh, you should not do that. You're so unstable if you hang stuff up, hang those off of your tent frame. I have never had a problem. I would recommend getting tent weights. Mine are 20 pounds. They hold down the legs. Nothing has ever fallen over or anything. So I don't know. There are like grid walls and things that you can buy. They are much more expensive and I have not found them to be necessary, quite honestly. So that's what I use to hang stuff from. And then you can actually just use like, there's actual like hooks you can buy. You don't need anything fancy. I have before run out of hooks and I use shower curtain, whatever you call them, little, you know, clippy things, whatever. I have price tags on all of my items and I do accept Square. So I know someone asked me what I use for payment. So I take cash and I take Venmo and I take Square. So the Square is clutch. If you have an Etsy shop, you can link your Square to your Etsy. So all of your, okay, Stella. All of your sales that you make through your Square can count towards your Etsy sales. So, okay, Stella. She's agreeing, I guess. She's never been to a vendor event, but she's agreeing about the Square. So you can have it linked to your Etsy shop and get all the credit through that. I have some people that want to pay Venmo, some people that want to pay cash, but taking the Square and being able to accept credit cards is really key, especially with the higher priced items that we're usually selling if you're selling a wreath. Okay? Yes, dear. So yeah, I hope I answered whatever questions came up for the vendor thing. Okay. So I'm going to use, I think I like the way this is looking with the blue in the center. I usually gravitate towards like a little bit, I guess with this color palette to do, a little bit of a darker center. I think a red would look good as well, but I think the blue is fine and it matches and I think we're good to go. So if anyone else has the audio on and your dogs are now barking, oh, I apologize. And there goes, oh, well, she already came back. I don't know. Anyways, enough with my, I will have like a little bit of a delay and I'm just watching them walk by. Okay, so this blue burlap came from Walmart. I will tell you, not all Walmarts are created equal, unfortunately, because sometimes you go to Walmarts and all they have is just beige. And then sometimes, like there's a couple Walmarts in my area and sometimes they have the fun colors. So I found some fun colors and stocked up. So I've seen Walmarts that have this blue. I've seen a navy blue. I've seen, what else? Yellow, green. I use brown pretty often, not like natural beige brown, but like dark brown. So yeah. Okay. So all I did, and again, watch the YouTube video if you want to know how to make the burlap rosette. It's like a 30-minute job. I don't do that on my lives, but I do have a YouTube video. Okay, so I just fed it through 2 opposite holes, and I'm just going to twist this a couple of times. I'm probably not going to make it too horribly tight just in case I decide I want to move it around. But then I'll take this and I'll either feed them through the holes or I'll twist them around my zip ties. Here's the top. I already put a piece of fish line here. It's a little tangled around my stuff because I usually do this at the end, but got my fish line going through my hanging holes. Okay. And here is our Patriotic plaid flower. When you make your, if you make one of these centers, you got to give it a little, you got to give it a little tug and like give a little push to kind of relax it, because when you make it, it's really tightly wound, and you can just like make sure you spread it out a little bit. Okay, so that is our project. The plaid burlap, you can get that at Unique in the Creek. And probably the red and royal blue too. I didn't check to see if that was in stock, but I would assume yes. Okay, so that is today's project. So I'm excited about patriotic season coming up. I have a couple other patriotic wreaths planned. Let me just give you a quick tip. If you're looking for the special mesh, like the plaid, okay, the poly burlap, like the special stuff tends to be, whatever reason, they charge you like $4 more for it. Just watch Craft Outlet, because every once in a while they'll do a sale. I don't know any rhyme or reason behind this sale, but all of a sudden something special will be like 20% off. So I got this when it was 20% off, as well as I have a white with red and blue tinsel stripes. I don't know, whatever you call it. For Patriotic, I got that on sale, and I think I saved probably $4 or $5 on one roll. And then I also got a red and white stripe that I'm going to do something with. I got that on sale too. So just if you are bored, go to Craft Outlet and just go to Poly Burlap and just scroll through, because they got stuff on sale that I don't know any idea how they decide what goes on sale or not. But that was pre-patriotic season. Yes, what was it? Yesterday, 2 days ago, I was looking and they had some really fun Halloween poly burlap on sale. I held back. I didn't buy it, but they had some kind of like sparkly Halloween tinsel poly burlap. So yes, anyways, without having to listen to me drone on and on, just a quick tip if you're looking for the special stuff, because they like to charge you extra for the special stuff. Okay, thanks for joining me today, everyone. Again, if you're looking for supplies like the zip tie gun, zip ties, any of the supplies I use, check out my Amazon affiliate shop. If you're looking for supplies like wreath making materials, check out Unique in the Creek. I have an affiliate link for that as well in the pinned post on my Facebook page. So just go to the very first post on the page and you will see those links there. If you're looking for the link to the YouTube tutorial to make a burlap rosette center, you can find my YouTube link there as well. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. Have a great evening. Hope to see you again soon. Take care. Bye.